All right, so picture this. You're stepping outside on a clear night, look up at the sky, and whoa, there it is, a comet, shining so bright it could practically argue with the stars.
Sounds like a scene from a sci-fi movie.
Almost. Except this was the real deal with the recent flyby of C-2023-A3. You might also know it as Tsuchinshan-ATLAS. And of course, we've been diving deep into all the amazing research you guys sent in about this thing.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to see everyone's take on it. What really struck me was how this comet decided to make a grand entrance, not once, but twice. Two separate teams of astronomers actually spotted it.
You're talking about that double discovery, right?
Yeah.
Not your average comet arrival story.
Not at all. First off, the Purple Mountain Observatory in China caught a glimpse back in January of 23, and then, get this, almost like it wanted a second opinion, the ATLAS team over in South Africa picked it up too in February.
Talk about a cosmic coincidence. It makes you wonder just how many other amazing things are floating around out there unnoticed.
Exactly. But okay, back to our main attraction, C-2023-A3. So this thing basically went on the ultimate road trip, starting all the way out in the Oort cloud.
Okay, for those of us who haven't brushed up on our astronomy lately, Oort cloud, refresh our memory.
Right, so imagine the very, very, very edge of our solar system, like way out in the suburbs. That's the Oort cloud, this massive sphere of icy stuff, so far out that even the distance between us and the sun seems tiny.
Wow, okay, I'm getting the picture. So after traveling for, I don't even know how long, across that much space, C-2023-A3 finally gets its moment in the sun September 27th this year. And it wasn't just casually strolling by, was it?
Not at all. This thing was absolutely zipping. At its closest point to the sun, we're talking a speed of 67.33 kilometers per second. That's like going from New York to LA in less time than it takes to, I don't know, make a cup of coffee.
Wow. My brain can barely process that kind of speed. So we've got this comet on a wild ride. And to make things even more interesting, it decided to take a bit of an unconventional route, a retrograde orbit, right?
You got it. Imagine most of the planets in our solar system are cruising around the sun in one direction, counterclockwise. C-2023-A3 decided, nope, I'm going my own way, and went clockwise.
Talk about going against the flow. Did this rebellious streak have any big impact on its journey?
Well, a retrograde orbit doesn't rewrite the rules of gravity or anything. The sun's pull affects it the same way. It's more like, I guess it adds an extra layer of intrigue to the whole story.
It's like C-2023-A3 wanted to make sure we were paying attention. And speaking of attention grabbing, we can't forget the most eye-catching detail, not one, but two tails trailing behind it.
Right. That's a pretty classic comet move, and a big part of why we find them so captivating. So as a comet like C-2023-A3 gets closer to the sun, all that ice and dust starts to vaporize, and you get this sort of hazy cloud around the comet's head. We call that the coma.
So the tails are basically
Yeah.
extensions of this coma, yeah. Like the solar wind blows that vaporize stuff outward.
Exactly. It's almost like the sun's giving it a little, or maybe not so little, push. These tails can stretch out for millions of kilometers, and because we're dealing with different types of particles, we get different types of tails. The dust tail and the ion tail.
And you said C-2023-A3 had both. That's pretty unusual, right?
Yeah.
What's the deal with these two tails and what made them so unique?
It is unusual. Most comets are like, hey, one tail is flashy enough, thanks. But C-2023-A3 was all about that double feature. So first up, you've got your dust tail. Pretty self-explanatory. It's the dust particles, right? Think of it like, I don't know, a trail of glitter, the comet sprinkling as it goes, usually wider, kind of curved, and it'll look whitish, maybe yellowish.
It's wild how something as basic as dust can create such an incredible sight in space. Okay, but what about that ion tail? How's that different?
Now, the ion tail, that's like the comet's neon sign. It's made of charged gas, those ions, and they actually glow when they interact with the solar wind, so it's usually a lot fainter than the dust tail, more of a bluish color, and tends to be straight, like an arrow pointing away from the sun.
So we've got the cosmic glitter bomb and the ethereal glow stick.
Yeah?
No wonder people were freaking out about C-2023-A3. But hold on, wasn't there some drama along the way? I seem to remember early observations had folks worried it might be, like, breaking up before it even reached the sun.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a bit of a cliffhanger there. Astronomers saw the brightness fluctuating like crazy, and sometimes that can mean a comet's feeling the heat, literally, and might be starting to fragment.
So it was teasing us with the potential self-destruction act.
Intense.
You said it. Everyone was on edge, wondering if C-2023-A3 would go out in a blaze of glory or hold it together for the main event. And I guess you could say its little act of defiance made for an even more impressive show in the end.
It's like it knew exactly what it was doing. But, speaking of impressive, this comet really blew past expectations in the brightness department. I mean, they were saying it'd be visible, but this was next level.
Absolutely. Peak brightness, October 9th, 2024, C2023A3 hit a magnitude of muddick 4.9. That's brighter than Venus, for context. Seriously. That's crazy bright for a comet. Was it just like reflecting more sunlight or what? What's the science behind that?
So picture this. You're at a concert, right? And the spotlight hits the disco ball at just the right angle, sending those beams all over the place. That's kind of like what was happening here, but on a cosmic scale, it's called forward scattering. The angle of the sunlight hitting the dust and bouncing back towards us, it amplified the brightness, made it seem extra luminous from our perspective.
So C2023A3 basically staged a perfectly lit performance using, like, the geometry of space.
Pretty much. A mix of its own activity, what it was made of, and then that perfect forward scattering alignment. C2023A3 knew how to put on a show.
This comet was not here to mess around, and it got pretty darn close to us during its visit, didn't it?
It did. Closest approach, October 12th, 2024, about 71 million kilometers away from Earth. Now, I know that might still sound incredibly far.
Not exactly road trip distance.
Yeah, unless your car runs on, I don't know, cosmic energy or something. But in space terms, that's a close shave. Roughly 186 times the distance between us and the moon.
So not exactly a fender bender, but close enough to remind us how vast everything is out there,
No.
and how incredible these objects passing through are.
Totally. It was a fleeting visit, for sure, but a powerful reminder that our solar system is anything but static. It's dynamic, ever-changing.
Speaking of fleeting, is this it for C2023A3? Will we ever see it again, or is it gone for good?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a one-time show. C2023A3 is on a trajectory that's, well, it's basically saying see ya to our solar system. Out to the great unknown, never coming back.
Like that friend who makes a grand entrance at a party, steals the show for a bit, then disappears into the night.
Perfect analogy. But hey, even though C2023A3 was just passing through, it's a good reminder that there are tons of these icy travelers out in the Oort cloud, just waiting for their turn to shine. Who knows what'll swing by next?
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. This chunk of ice and dust, cruising around for millions, maybe billions of years, carrying secrets from way back when our solar system was just forming. And we got to witness a tiny sliver of that journey.
Every comet's like a time capsule. Clues about how our cosmic neighborhood came to be, how it's changed. By studying them, we're not just figuring out comets, It's like piecing together the story of our own solar system's birth.
It's like, yeah, it was a cool show and all, but there's so much more to it. Makes you appreciate it on a whole other level. And while C2023A3 is off on its merry way, something tells me this isn't the last we'll hear about it. All the research it's sparked, the discoveries, those will keep going for years.
Absolutely. Each new comet brings a whole load of new data, pushes our understanding further, makes us ask even more questions about where we fit into all of this.
The universe just keeps sending us these incredible postcards, each one a little snapshot of a journey that's been going on for, well, practically forever. C2023A3 might be gone for now, but it's a good reminder to, keep looking up, keep exploring, never lose that sense of wonder. What else is out there waiting to be discovered?
That's what it's all about, isn't it? There's always something new to find, and each discovery just opens up a whole universe of possibilities.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into C2023A3, the comet that stole the show. A huge thanks to everyone for coming along on this cosmic ride, and a special shout out to all of you who sent in your awesome research and articles. We couldn't do it without you. Until next time, keep exploring.